Most people run from their triggers. They see discomfort and bolt. They feel the heat of embarrassment, rejection, judgment, and they do whatever it takes to escape. Numb it. Bury it. Ignore it. Blame someone else for it. But what if the trigger is not the enemy? What if that surge of emotion, that spike of pain, that flash of anger is not a flaw in your system, but a signal from your soul? What if every time you were triggered, you weren't being tested, you were being taught? Because here's the truth. Your triggers are roadmaps, not roadblocks. They are not detours. They are divine indicators, pointing you relentlessly, unapologetically toward the part of you that's still waiting to be healed, strengthened, integrated. You don't need to fear your reactions. You need to follow them. You need to trace them back to the story, the wound, the belief, the moment in your life where a version of you decided, this is who I need to be to survive. And that version of you, as brave as they were, might be outdated. Because triggers don't lie. They show you where your peace still depends on something outside of you. They show you where your power is still held hostage by someone else's behavior, opinion, tone, validation. And if something outside of you can take you out of your state, then your state was never yours too. Begin with You say you want freedom? Then stop outsourcing your emotional stability. Stop handing the keys to your joy, your clarity, your control to every driver who cuts you off, every comment that stings, every person who reminds you of your father, your ex, your critic, your past. Because until you reclaim that power, you're not driving your life. You're reacting through it. Blindly, defensively, habitually. You were not born reactive. You were born powerful. You were born with the ability to feel deeply without being ruled by what you feel. But life trained it out of you, conditioned you to flinch, to defend, to lash out, to shut down, taught you to fear emotion instead of mastering it. But that ends now, not because the world will suddenly get easier, not because people will stop triggering you, but because you are done mistaking your reaction for your identity. You are not your trigger. You are the leader of it. And leadership doesn't mean the absence of feeling. It means being fluent in feeling, being able to name it, navigate it. Channel it into power. When you're triggered, don't ask what's wrong. With me, ask what part of me just got revealed. What was just activated? What still needs to be seen, understood, healed, upgraded? Because the trigger is a flare. It's your nervous system lighting up, saying something here is familiar. Not because it's true, but because it's similar to a wound that's still raw beneath your logic. Your boss criticizes your work, and you feel like a child again trying to be good enough. Your partner forgets to call, and suddenly you're reliving the night your father never showed up. Your friend gets distant, and it feels like every betrayal, every abandonment, every rejection from your past just walked into the room wearing a new face. That's not weakness, that's information, that's access. That's where your power lives, not in the part of you that performs strength, but in the part of you that's willing to meet the wound with leadership. Not panic. Not projection. Leadership, because every time you're triggered, you have two choices: react from the old identity or respond from the upgraded one. And the upgraded version of you, they don't just know how to build success, they know how to hold peace. They know how to observe without collapsing. They know how to say, there it is again. That old story trying to take the wheel, and instead of feeding it, they breathe, they listen. They lead. Because your trigger is not your truth. It's your training ground. It's where you learn the art of inner stillness in the middle of emotional chaos. It's where you build the muscle of returning to center heaven when everything around you feels personal. And here's the thing: your power has never been in controlling what happens. It's always been in mastering how you meet what happens. That's the difference between reactive people and responsive leaders. Reactive people wait for the world to be kind enough, smooth enough, perfect enough for them to feel okay. Responsive leaders decide that how they feel is their job, their discipline. Their standard. They know that a triggered mind is not a broken mind, it's a bright mind that just hasn't yet been given new instructions. So give it new instructions. Stop treating your triggers like failures. Start treating them like feedback. Feedback that says, here's your next level. Here's your next lesson. Here's the exact place where your transformation is waiting. And when you start living like that, every room becomes your classroom. Every frustration becomes your curriculum. Every person who Pushes your buttons becomes a divine invitation to master your state. That's the level we play at now. No more blaming the world for your emotional chaos. No more excusing behavior because that's just how you are. No more spiritual bypassing or performance healing. This is about emotional intelligence, real power. The kind that doesn't waver when life punches back. The kind that leads, even in discomfort, especially in discomfort. Because discomfort is not your enemy either. It's your gym. It's where your emotional muscle is built. So stop running. Stop suppressing. Stop numbing. Face it. Feel it. Lead yourself through it. Because the version of you that you admire, the one who speaks with clarity, moves with certainty, radiates calm even when the world is on fire. They didn't get there by accident. They met every trigger like it was sacred. They stopped outsourcing their peace. They trained their nervous system to breathe through the storm. And now it's your turn. You can't master your life if you haven't mastered your state. And you can't master your state if you keep avoiding your triggers. Triggers are not the problem. Avoidance is. Avoidance keeps you small. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you chasing comfort instead of building capacity. And if all you ever seek is comfort, you will sacrifice every goal that requires strength. Because success is not built by those who feel good all the time. It's built by those who can feel everything and not fall apart. Let the world throw chaos. Let people misjudge you. Let discomfort rise. And when it does, let your first instinct not be to react, but to rise. Rising is not always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet act of breathing through your pain instead of blasting it onto someone else. Sometimes it's choosing to pause for 5 seconds, not because you're weak, but because you're the one in the room, mature enough to lead the moment. Leadership begins at the level of the self. You cannot lead others until you've learned how to lead your nervous system, until you can stand inside your own storm and still choose clarity, stillness, and direction. And that starts with asking, what am I actually feeling? Not what I want to feel, not what I think I should feel, but what is real in this moment. Is it anger? Or is it disappointment? Is it rage? Or is it fear? So many people walk around calling everything anger when what they really feel is betrayal, or shame. Or abandonment. But because they've never been taught the language of emotions, they explode. They react, they sabotage. And then they wonder why life keeps repeating itself like a loop. Here's the truth. If you don't decode the trigger, you will relive it again and again and again. Different faces, different jobs, different cities. Same emotion, different names, same nervous system. Because your nervous system doesn't care about logic. It cares about patterns. And your patterns will keep you trapped until you become more curious than defensive, until you stop blaming them and start observing you. That's when the cycle breaks. When you finally say, I'm done explaining why I explode. I'm done making people earn the version of me that's calm. I'm done giving my power away to situations that remind me of pain I haven't healed. And in that moment, you stop being a reactor and you start becoming an architect, because you get to build your state. Just like you train your muscles, you train your emotions. That trigger that keeps pulling you down. That situation that always gets under your skin. What if I told you it's the exact workout your soul chose to grow stronger? That difficult person, they're your gym. That moment that makes you feel invisible, that's your mirror. That rejection you can't stop reliving, that's your classroom. But most people don't want classrooms, they want comfort. And comfort keeps you numb. Numb keeps you unconscious. And unconscious keeps you under your potential. You didn't come here to be unconscious. You didn't come here to stay reactive. You came here to lead. To heal. To rise. And that rise is only available to the version of you willing to face the fire. The fire of your triggers. The fire of your shadows. The fire of your truth. Your power is not in pretending. Your unbothered. Your power is in sitting with the bother and leading yourself through it like a general walking through a battlefield. Not flinching, not fleeing, but fully present, fully aware, fully in command. And you want to know the most elite skill in the world today. It's not coding. It's not investing. It's not networking. It's emotional regulation. The ability to stay calm in chaos. The ability to choose response over reaction. The ability to hear something triggering and not lose your character. That's What separates leaders from victims? Victims say, "This situation controls me." Leaders say, "This situation reveals me." And when you know who you are, no situation can steal your center. This doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel everything and still choose alignment. It means the world can shake, but your inner ground is unshakable. Because you've trained it, you've earned it. You've walked through your emotional landmine so many times, you know exactly where they are. And you've disarmed them not with fear, but with presence. You learn to meet your emotions, not run from them. You learn to lead your reactions, not justify them. You learn to pause, to breathe, to ground. Because real strength is not in force, it's in restraint. It's in knowing when to speak, and when to hold. When to act, and when to just observe. When to fire, and when to feel. This is your new power. This is the discipline of the future. This is what builds high-performing lives, healthy relationships, and peaceful minds. It's not who can work the hardest. It's who can hold their state in the face of adversity. And that includes adversity from within. So the next time you're triggered, don't run, don't react, don't shame yourself. Say, "This is my moment. This is my signal. This is my roadmap to power. And then lead yourself through it. Step by step, breathe by breath, reaction by reflection. Because you were not meant to live in emotional chaos. You were built for clarity. You were built for mastery. You were built for peace that cannot be stolen. And now, you're starting to remember that. The greatest leaders on this planet aren't the ones with the loudest voices. They're the ones who don't flinch in discomfort. They're the ones who can sit in a storm and remain still, not because they don't feel it, but because they've trained their soul to breathe through fire. And that's what your trigger is. Fire. Not to destroy you, but to burn away what no longer serves. You keep asking for clarity, for freedom, for elevation. And life keeps sending you the exact moments that require you to burn through the part of you that's holding on to smallness. You say you wanted to grow. Then life says, "Here, face this." And it hurts. It's raw. It shakes you. But it's not punishment. It's preparation. Every trigger is an initiation, an invitation to finally see what's been running your life without your permission. That sharp pain when someone interrupts you, it's not about being cut off. It's about the part of you that was taught your voice didn't matter. That panic when someone pulls away emotionally, it's not about them. It's about the child in you who was left emotionally starving and decided connection wasn't safe. That wave of jealousy when someone else wins, it's not because you're bitter. It's because somewhere inside, you still believe there's not enough for you to. And when you pause and meet that part of yourself and see it, without judgment, without shame, you take your power back. You stop arguing with reality. You stop outsourcing your peace. You stop trying to control the world, and you start commanding your world from within. Because everything you want, the love, the wealth, the impact, the expansion, it's not waiting on the outside. It's waiting for you to stop hiding behind your triggers and start mining them for truth. And let me be clear, this is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally fluent, emotionally sovereign, being able to feel every texture of life without collapsing into it. Your triggers don't disappear when you level up, they deepen. But the difference is they don't own you anymore. They inform you, they refine you, they show you where your next edge is. That edge, that discomfort, that's the territory of greatness. And if you avoid it, you'll keep looping around the same level, the same arguments, the same self-sabotage cycles, until you finally say, "I'm ready to own this. I'm ready to face this. I'm ready to lead this." Because your highest self isn't waiting for life to get easier. It's waiting for you to rise to meet life with grace, with presence, and with power. No more avoiding hard conversations. No more ghosting responsibility. No more reacting like the old version of you and calling it just who I am. That version was built in survival. This version is built in strength. It's time to lead the room. But first lead your own heart. Sit with your emotions before they sit inside you and rot. Feel them. Name them. Let them rise without attachment. Because emotions are visitors. They're not permanent residents unless you invite them to stay. And most people, they've let old, outdated emotions rent out space in their nervous system for years. They've built entire identities around wounds they never challenged. But not you, not anymore. You're not here to carry emotional baggage like it's a trophy. You're here to transcend it. And yes, people will trigger you. Situations will test you. Life will poke at your deepest insecurities. But you will stop letting that mean something about your worth. Because you finally understand triggers are not a reflection of your weakness. They are direction signs pointing to your next level of strength. The shame you feel, it's a sign that you're still holding on to a version of yourself that doesn't exist anymore. The jealousy, it's a signal that your vision has been neglected. The defensiveness, it's a clue that a part of you still feels unseen. Listen to those signals, honor them, then move forward with clarity. Because clarity creates peace, and peace creates momentum, and momentum creates destiny. But you can't move forward if you're dragging the emotional corpses of your unprocessed pain. It's time to grieve it, honor it, release it, then lead. Lead like the world depends on your wholeness. Because in some ways, it does. Someone is watching you right now. A child, a partner, a team, a younger version of you still waiting for proof that peace is possible. And when they see you feel anger but choose alignment, when they see you feel fear but choose forward, when they see you feel overwhelmed but choose presence, they'll learn something no school ever taught. They'll learn what it means to be powerful without being loud. To be triggered without being toxic. To be deeply human and still deeply whole. That's what you're building now. Not a perfect life, but a practiced life, a present life, a powerful life. And that power, it's not in avoiding the trigger. It's in turning toward it and saying, I see you. You're not here to ruin me. You're here to reveal me. So thank you. Now let's grow. Every time you get triggered, you stand at a crossroads. You can armor up, defend, deflect, blame, or you can go and observe, listen, lead. One path builds walls, the other builds wisdom. And the cost of wisdom is presence. Not performance. Not perfection. But presence. Because when you're truly present, you see what's underneath the surface. You stop reacting to the symptom and start healing the source. Most people don't do this. They live their entire lives protecting their trigger points, avoiding the people, places, and conversations that activate them. But what you avoid controls you. It owns your peace. It owns your energy. It owns your growth. And if something can still control you from the inside, then you are not yet free. Freedom is not the absence of discomfort. Freedom is the ability to move through discomfort without abandoning yourself. To feel everything and still act from your values. Still speak from your center. Still show up with power. Not panic. Because power doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've made peace with your feelings. You've learned how to stand still when your nervous system screams run. You've learned to breathe when the old version of you wants to lash out. You've learned to speak with clarity when confusion tries to cloud your vision. That's what evolution looks like. Not louder. Not stronger. Just cleaner energy, cleaner choices, cleaner identity. Because the person who reacts to every trigger is still negotiating with their past. But the person who sees a trigger and responds with grace, that's someone who's chosen alignment over ego. That's someone who's no longer fighting the world. They're leading themselves through it. And that's the invitation right now. To stop waiting for the world to be different and start being the difference. Because your triggers will keep showing up until you stop treating them like enemies and start treating them like indicators. They are not here to punish you. They are here to point you to the belief that needs rewriting, to the pattern that needs breaking, to the version of you that needs upgrading. And that upgrade, it doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from feeling it with courage, owning it with strength, transforming it with leadership. It comes from sitting in the fire and realizing you're not burning. You're becoming more honest, more powerful, more emotionally agile, more grounded in your truth. Because when you've faced your own pain, really faced it, not just skimmed the surface, you become unshakable. Not because nothing moves you, but because nothing owns you. You stop giving away your identity to temporary emotion. You stop handing over your potential to passing storms. You stop apologizing for being human and start taking full responsibility for what you create next. And responsibility is the access point to real freedom. Because once you know your triggers, once you've mapped them, once you've led yourself through them, you're no longer afraid of what the world might throw at you. You've seen your shadow. You've danced with your fear. You've sat with your guilt, your shame, your jealousy, and you didn't run, you didn't hide, you didn't project, you led, and that leadership rewires you. It gives you options where there used to be reactions. It gives you vision where there used to be fog. It gives you breath where there used to be survival. And now you don't just survive your emotions, you command them. You use them as data. As direction. As power. This is the path most won't walk because it's quieter than drama. It's less addictive than outrage. It doesn't come with applause, but it comes with peace. The kind of peace that can't be taken. The kind of peace that doesn't depend on who texts you back. The kind of peace that doesn't crack when things go sideways. The kind of peace that makes people lean in and wonder, what did they do to get like that? And the answer isn't magic. It's mastery. Emotional mastery. The discipline to pause when your body wants to react. The courage to feel what you once feared. The humility to admit what still needs healing. The devotion to do it over and over again until your identity no longer flinches at its own reflection. You are that devoted now, not to performance, but to truth, not to looking strong, but to being strong from the inside out. Because when you become the calm in your own storm, you become unstoppable. Not because the storms stop coming, but because you've built the kind of strength that doesn't get blown over anymore. You anchor yourself in values, in vision, in presence, and you carry that into every room, every relationship, every decision. And people feel it. They feel the steadiness. They feel the self-respect. They feel the clarity you walk with because you no longer operate from a place of needing to protect your wounds. You've already healed them. You've already walked through the fire. You've already cried the tears. You've already looked your pain in the face and said, you don't define me anymore. Now your actions do. Your alignment does. Your leadership does. And that's what changes lives. Not your image, not your ego, but your energy. Clean, calm, directed. That's the mark of someone who has mastered their triggers, not by eliminating them, but by transforming the mental tools for growth. You are that someone now, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger, because you stopped reacting from the wound and started responding from the healed. And that response is the beginning of everything you've been waiting for. This is the truth no one wants to tell you. You can build the business, have the body, stack the money, but if you don't master your emotional state, you'll still feel powerless, because power isn't in the possessions. It's not in the achievements. It's in the ability to walk into chaos and remain you. Unshaken, unfolded, unapologetic, ally aligned. That's the reward of meeting your triggers. Not a perfect life, but a powerful, ONEA, real one. One where you don't have to armor up before every conversation. One where you don't spend your energy trying to control other people so you can feel okay inside. One where your inner world is finally under your leadership. Because when your nervous system is your ally, when your mind is your friend, when your emotions don't scare you, you are free. Truly, deeply, and permanently free. And isn't that what you've been chasing all along? Not applause, not perfection, not even validation, but that quiet, sovereign sense that no matter what happens, you can handle it. No matter who comes or goes, you'll stay whole. No matter how hard it gets, you won't abandon yourself again. That's what you're stepping into now. And that version of you, the one who walks into rooms with silent gravity, the one who chooses their response instead of reacting from old pain, the one who doesn't need to prove, perform, or protect, that version of you is already here, right beneath the surface of your triggers, waiting to be activated. Not by pretending they don't exist, but by walking through them, with eyes wide open and heart wide awake. Because this life, it's not going to slow down for your comfort. It's not going to pause while you hide. It's not going to soften just because you haven't healed. It will keep showing you exactly what still needs your attention, exactly where you're not free, exactly what still owns your reaction. Not to break you, but to build you, to forge you into the kind of person who is untouchable. Not because nothing affects you, but because everything refines you. That's the art of emotional leadership. You don't stop feeling. You stop fleeing. You don't stop being human. You start being fully human with the courage to stay present in the storm. And when you do that, everything changes. You start making decisions from power, not panic. You start attracting people who are safe, not just familiar. You stop chasing things to fill the void, because the void no longer exists. You filled it with awareness with presence with leadership. You did the work no one can see. And now everyone can feel the difference. You walk differently. You speak with clarity. You no longer need to dominate the room because you've already claimed it inside. This isn't hype. This is discipline. This is self-respect. This is the foundation of a life you don't need a vacation from. And no, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be. But this kind of inner peace, the kind that doesn't require silence to exist, the kind that can breathe in the noise, hold its center, and still choose love over fear, alignment over approval, truth over comfort, that peace is worth everything. So now, the question isn't will life stop triggering me? The question is, will I stop abandoning myself every time it does? Will I finally stop handing over my power to people who don't even know me? To memories that don't deserve replay? To patterns that have expired? Will I finally decide this moment is mine? Because every reaction is a fork in the road. And every time you choose response over reaction, alignment over ego, breath over blame, you become someone new. Not because you added anything, but because you shed what was never yours to begin with. And you don't need permission to do that. You don't need an apology first. You don't need the world to change before you lead yourself through it. You just need the courage to pause, to feel, to choose. Choose truth. Choose presence. Choose peace, not because it's easy, but because your destiny depends on it. Your calling cannot wait for your comfort. Your future cannot wait for your fear to settle down. Your legacy cannot wait for the world to stop offending you. You have to go first. You have to rise first. You have to lead first, starting from the inside out. And when you do, you become someone who isn't just successful, but safe for yourself, for others, for life to move through. Because the highest version of you is not hiding in the peak of your performance, it's waiting at the edge of your emotional threshold. And every trigger you face is another invitation to step into it. So step boldly. Step with grace. Step with discipline. Step with that deep inner knowing that says, I will not abandon myself again. Not here. Not now. Not ever. Because I am not my trigger. I am not my past. I am not my reaction. I am the one who leads it all. And from this moment on, I lead from power. I lead from presence. I lead from peace.